Season is just over 2 months away, and the Army Corps of Engineers has pulled one pump and is examining 16 more after a surprise corrosion problem was discovered at the London Canal Station.
His Rob Masson reports. Now, these pumps' life expectancy is supposed to be 30 more years, but one already requires major repairs or possible replacement.
Work crews have pulled pump number 1 from the London Avenue Canal Station and were removing water underneath pump number 5 for a camera inspection after a pump overheated and shut down last year.
When we looked inside, we saw corrosion that was well beyond what it should be for this time of its design life.
Those pumps, each capable of moving 1,800 cubic feet of water per second, were designed to last 35 years and were only put in place 5 years ago.
Anytime a pump fails, there is a level of concern, that's why we reported immediately to the state and to CPRA and to the Corps of Engineers.
The Corps began an inspection program and has now checked out 2 pumps at the 17th Street Canal as well as 2 at Orleans Avenue. And while some adjustments were made, corrosion problems to the severity of pump number 1 at London Avenue have not been uncovered.
17th Street, they were looked at. They were confirmed that they were able to operate without risk for this hurricane season. We made some minor repairs to Orleans. They were okay for hurricane season, but while we had the pumps, we went ahead and made some adjustments.
Corps officials say they believe they can repair the damage already uncovered before we get into the heart of hurricane season. And they say if they find any more, they may have to bring in temporary pumps.
We have discussed temporary pumps or alternative plans or measures that will be taken if they discover additional repairs that may impact our ability to match Sewage and Water Board this hurricane season.
At this point, the Corps says each station is designed with extra capacity to handle water that would be pumped out of the city by the Sewage and Water Board in a major storm, which would require the closure of the floodgates at the outfall canals, which would then trigger pump operation.
Right now, even with one pump down at London, we can still equal the Sewage and Water Board's capacity on the other end of the canal.
For now, the Corps does not know the cause of the corrosion.
And it can be anything from the pump construction, it can be water or electric current within the water, it could be the epoxy or the coatings that were used. We're considering everything right now.
And the Corps promises to make adjustments as necessary to keep the pumps in operation for their design life of 30 more years. And the Corps says repairs on London Avenue's pump number 1 are well underway, and it will be replaced in time for this hurricane season. They've now completed 5 pump inspections with 12 more to go.